Yes, welcome into Sports Bit. Betting Insight today, Tuesday, July 26th. Pauly and Teddy, big game breakdown. Going to be the Mariners and the Pirates and the Yankees and the Astros. Deep dive. The New York Football Giants. Remember, next week we're on vacation, so don't panic. We're taking 1 week off the whole year. When we come back, it's the start of football season. Bad beats and bad bets coming up. The Cubbies are all in, Teddy. It's World Series or bust as they acquire Chapman. I actually see both sides of this where, yes, he might be called on for the 5 most important innings of the season, which could be World Series, but did they give up too much in your opinion?
No, absolutely not. When you're a team like the Cubs, where basically your starting lineup is set for a fair bit of time. I mean, they've got so much talent all over the place. They've got Addison Russell at shortstop. He's only 22. The position's already filled long term. So to send a prospect like Gleyber Torres, a guy who everybody's really high on, but he plays shortstop. They have a 22-year-old shortstop that's going to be there forever. You got to trade him. You know, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. To get a guy like Chapman, it's a no-brainer. Especially, when they rallied from 4 down on the south side last night, and then Montgomery came into the bottom of the ninth and lost the game, And, of course, they just picked him up, last week?
Yep.
And he's had 2 appearances. He's given up runs in both of those games, costing the game last night. When you're playing with a chance to win a title, and the Cubs, for as much as we've criticized them over the course of the last month or so, the Cubs have a legitimate chance to win a World Series title this year. I think it makes sense to go all in. I think it makes sense to trade away prospects for a guy like Chapman to come in. Now, and it works for the Yankees, too. I really think so. They may have done about as well as they could have. They got some building blocks for the future. And, of course, they still got the BM of the BMC at the back end of the bullpen.
Well, who knows? They could trade Miller. Someone could blow him away with an offer. And as Chapman said, who knows? Maybe I come back here next season. And that could happen as well. If I'm the Cubbies, I would have wanted Miller instead because he's under contract the next couple of years. But a good move for the Yankees. And not just the Cubs-White Sox games, a lot of games, Teddy, with late-game shenanigans that pushed the total or came close to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, just look at the Chicago versus Chicago last night, with the insane ninth inning. Both teams rallying in the ninth. And this is a game, of course, the total was 8.5, and it got bet up to 9. And when all of a sudden you get 2 runs in the top of the ninth and 1 more in the bottom of the ninth, that is not a good result for the house because everybody that made a bet on the total in the White Sox-Cubs game, they won or pushed. And that's never a good result for the house.
Yeah, here's a bad beat. The A's, they took money, bet from plus 135 down to 120. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, and Beltre. It's a 2-run walk-off as the Rangers come all the way back to win.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the A's, they had a real good weekend against the Rays, playing with a little bit of momentum. They roughed up Martin Perez, that early 4-run lead, and then they asked Ryan Manson to close it out. Oops. That's the 6th blown save of the year for Manson, 3rd in July.
Yeah.
And again, he mowed down the Rays 1-2-3 on Sunday. That didn't carry over to Texas. Let's not forget, before Beltre hit the bomb in the 9th, he hit another one in the 7th to keep it close.
Yeah.
Texas comes from behind. A bad beat for bettors who seem to love the Oakland A's last night.
How about a little association? Tyronn Lue gets a 5-year deal, 4 of it guaranteed with the Cavs.
Yeah, all right, Paulie, let's start right here, right now. Tyronn Lue in Cleveland. He's got a 5-year deal, 4 years guaranteed.
Yep.
I'm going to make the number over under 3.5 years on Ty Lue in Cleveland. What are you taking?
Over easy. Easy over.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
They're in a horrible conference. They'll make the finals every year. And LeBron, the players like them. LeBron likes them. LeBron calls the shots. LeBron likes them. Plus,
sure. Is LeBron in Cleveland 4 years from now?
Huh?
Is he still in Cleveland 4 years from now?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's playing with his buddies. I don't know.
But good hire, bad hire. Let's ask that.
Yeah, good hire. He won a championship. I can't kill him. He brought a championship to Cleveland.
I'm with you. Worth noting that and this is something I didn't even know. I was reading about the contract he just signed, and he was the single highest paid assistant coach in the NBA last year. But he didn't get a raise when he got named as head coach. So he was still on his assistant salary. Whatever. Just one of those little tidbits that stood out to me.
That's Gilbert for you. All right, some NFL notes as training camp starts this week. Can you believe it? Training camp starts this week.
Yeah, they do,
Yep.
baby. This is awesome. And there's going to be there's NFL news every day,
Uh-huh.
and it's impactful NFL news. There's two big ones today, Paul.
Yes, Josh Gordon back in Cleveland. The suspension now is only 4 games. He's reinstated. He sits out the first 4 games. He comes back against Tom Brady. Big news for the Brownies.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with making a number. We made a number on Ty Lue. Let's make a number on Josh Gordon.
Okay?
How about over under 4.5 touchdown catches this year? He's got 12 games.
Yep.
He's got no quarterback, no offensive line, no other receivers to take attention from him. You want over 4.5 or under 4.5 touchdown catches?
Okay, easy over if it's McCown. It's a stone cold under if it's RG3.
Yeah, fair enough. The Browns are lined at 4.5 wins. They are the worst team in the NFL on paper.
Yep.
Let's ask one more question. Would you make any adjustments to Cleveland's win total based on the return of Josh Gordon after 4 games?
I don't know. He's a playmaker. This guy puts up big numbers when he's in there, but again, one mistake and he's done.
Yeah, but and the answer is that he should. Josh Gordon is a type of a player who has the potential to win a game that Cleveland wouldn't be winning already. So I think he does impact their win total, and I think we will see, not much, but I think it will have an impact on a little bit of Cleveland over money.
Yes, this is a tough story here. Sad story with the Redskins. Junior Gillette, for the second year in a row, tears his Achilles, out for the year.
Oh, yeah, and look at his tweet. You know, you feel bad for the guy. Haven't felt so good, best shape of my life, and this happens to me now. I don't know what else to do.
Yep.
When does the rain stop, Paul? And we've all been there. You know, it just keeps raining, and you just can't get out of the way. Life's dumping. What's the appropriate word? Life's dumping on you, you know, and it just keeps dumping. We've all been there in life at various times. You know, hopefully it doesn't happen much. And, you know, my condolence is not the right word, but it's brutal for Gillette. But let's not forget, this is an impact injury. You know, this is a guy that had 22 sacks in his last 2 seasons in New Orleans. And the Saints gave him a ton of money. They were paying him, more than $10 million a year. And, of course, then he got hurt. And now he's got hurt again. And when you talk about the fantasy player, you know, the Josh Gordons tend to get a lot more pub when they get hurt. The guys that make their living in the trenches or the linebackers or in the secondary. But, man, Washington's defense wasn't good last year. They were counting on Junior Gillette to be an impact player this year. They were counting on him for instant pass rush. This will absolutely be in our analysis of the Redskins when we talk about them on, tomorrow's show?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Eagles. No.
Yeah, exactly, Eagles. We'll talk about Washington on Thursday's show, I believe it is. Yes.
A good point about the fantasy, too. Well, you're talking about Josh Gordon and Tom Brady. Wonder where those guys will go with missing the first 4 games, especially Gordon. Could be a sleeper late. See how the quarterback plays out, the situation plays out in Cleveland. All right. Giants deep dive. We continue with the NFC East, but up next it's big game breakdown. We start with the Yankees and the Astros on SportsBit. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Hello, sportsbook. Sportsbit. Okay, all right, okay, ready? Yeah,
That was good, though. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, SportsBit viewers. Have we got a great show for you today on the MLB Unscrabble Show? Tuesday, July 26th. Do we have a good show?
We have a great show. You've been tipping back Grandpa's cough medicine
not
again?
Not at all. I'm trying to sell the show. Should they? Maybe they shouldn't tune in.
Of course they should.
Why?
Absolutely.
Tell them why.
Because Teddy and Pauly watch us also. Come on aboard with us.
Sounds good. Tune into the show Tuesday, July 26th.
Back on Big Game Breakdown, as always, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Yankees and the Astros. CC against Pfister. Astros $1.45, 8.5 the total. So for the last 2 months, the Yankee starters were told, just go 6 strong innings and turn it over to the pen. Now they need 3 more outs, and that may not be good news for CC.
No, I don't think it's good news for CC at all. Look, Sunday, Nate Eovaldi was solid. He worked into the 7th. He threw 118 pitches. On Monday, Michael Pineda, he beat us, unfortunately, with the play of the day. He matched his longest start of the year, 7 full innings, and he threw a real gem, 103 pitches. So now it's Tuesday, and now it's CC time. Can CC do something like that at this stage of the season? Well, take a look. The first 11 starts this season, hey, wow, look at CC. He's a monster. We want our money on him. Then look what's happened. Last 6 starts, he's 0-4 with an ERA of 7.46. The last 3 starts, 23 hits versus only 6 strikeouts. And the last 2 came after getting a week off when he's supposed to be fresher and supposed to be capable of doing a little bit better than he's done. Of course, you look at the swinging strike rate. Check out this graphic. And again, you want to see stats that you're not seeing anywhere else right here on Sports.
Right.
Meaningful stats.
Yes.
All right. The swinging strike rate since the All-Star break. Let's see. He's had 2 starts. 3.2% versus Boston, 2.1% versus Baltimore. Major League Baseball worst. The lowest swinging strike percentage of all of baseball is Bartolo Colon at 5.1 among qualified starters. And of course, it's been 2 starts in a row that Sabathia's been at half that number. He's not getting any swinging strikes right now.
Well, Doug Fister isn't missing many bats either. But when he's healthy and using his 6'8 frame, he doesn't need to.
No, he doesn't. And this is something we talked about with Chris Young for many years in Kansas City. Or he kind of bounced around the league, but he was in Kansas City last year in this. A guy who's really tall and who allows contact, who pitches to contact. But the angle he's throwing at makes it very, very awkward for opposing hitters. And what we saw with Chris Young and now what we're seeing with Doug Fister, every single year, the advanced metric stats say, this guy's overachieving. He's overachieving. He's got to come back to earth. And yet, it doesn't seem to happen. Look, the ERA, 2014, a run and a half lower. In 2015, not that much lower, but lower. So far this year, well over a run lower. This isn't a short-term trend. This isn't an aberration. This isn't a correction waiting to happen. This is a misleading statistic of fielding independent pitching, okay, that is telling us very clearly that Doug Fister is better than the markets think that he is. And of course, the first 2 starts after the break, back-to-back road wins at Oakland and Seattle. 12 innings pitched, 3 runs, 9 hits, quality starts both times.
Yeah, wow. Game number 2. Mariners, Pirates, King Felix against Liriano. Pirates $1.15, 8 the total. The Mariners waited a long time to bring King Felix back. Did they wait long enough? Because the White Sox roughed him up his last time out.
Oh, they sure did. I mean, the Seattle rallied to beat the White Sox 6-5, but Hernandez had them down 4-0 in the second inning. It was they were down 5-2 when he left the game. And here's the key, okay? He allowed 10 hits, but only had 2 strikeouts. The fastball average of 91.6, that's the highest of the season. He averaged only 90 mph in his fastball going in. But we're talking about a guy who was better than 94.4 miles an hour at his peak in 2010. He's down to 90 now, basically. But he's been working on his sinker, and he was real happy with that sinker. 66% ground balls against the White Sox. Quote, I had a good sinker. I got a lot of ground balls. They were swinging at every pitch, and that's why my pitch count didn't get up. It was good. We're talking about a guy who only needed 94 pitches to throw 6.2 innings. You have to say, Fernandez, he's been throwing strikeouts for years. Right now, we might want to think of him as a pitch-to-contact guy. Very different type of hurler.
Then you have Liriano, which his last start was a thing of beauty. But who could have predicted that? Because he had that long stretch where the guy couldn't even get close to get through the 6th inning. He was dead last in Major League Baseball in walks per 9 innings. He had 13 strikeouts and no walks.
Yeah, he threw a real gem against the Brewers the other day. No question about it. When you're throwing 13 strikeouts without walking a batter, you're doing something right. Even if it's Milwaukee. Milwaukee can hit. You know, it's not like the Brewers' offense is completely anemic. Worth noting that with that 13 strikeouts and 0 walks, only 4 hits and 2 earned runs allowed. His quote, I threw all of my pitches. I tried not to do too much and execute pitches, take it 1 pitch at a time, 1 hitter at a time. I've been trying to be more consistent with my delivery, and that's the only thing I was working on. 2 starts into the All-Star break. We just talked about swing and strike percentage with the Yankees Astros. Let's talk about it here. Liriano, Kershaw's number 1 in the majors. 16.1% of his strikes are of his pitches swinging strikes. When we look at the 2 starts since the All-Star break from Liriano, 16.1%? Well, no, but he's right behind it. 15.3 and 15.5 in the last 2 ball games. Liriano's been pitching very, very nastily.
All right, no big game breakdown tomorrow. It's going to be PGA Championship, our final golf major with Brady Cannon, who went 7-1 with his golf matchups in the British Open. Up next, deep dive, New York Giants in the play of the day on SportsBit, Betting Insight today.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.
Back on SportsBit, we continue with the NFC East, the New York Football Giants. Win totals 8 Last year, 6-10 straight up, 8-7-1 ATS, 11-5 to the over, 26th in yards per play, tied for 6th in turnovers, mainstream stats, 8th in offense, 32nd in defense. Mercy. Haven't finished at 500 or better since 2012. Ben McAdoo, the new head coach, he was the OC the last 2 years. Half the coaching staff stuck around, so this isn't a clean house, complete rebuild like we'll talk about tomorrow with the Eagles and their new head coach, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is why I don't use mainstream stats. All right, they didn't have the 8th best offense in the NFL last year. They didn't have the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL last year. The stats will say they did, but they didn't. The Saints defense was far worse. Was historically bad. The Giants defense was just really bad. And number 8 offense? Well, they didn't. What are you talking about? But that's yardage. That's what the mainstream stats say. The key stats from last year, again, they were minus 0.4 yards per play. So they were outgained by nearly a half yard every snap. And they went 11-5 to the over. A defense that really couldn't get stops with the game on the line. And then you remember all those screw-ups in the final 2 minutes where everyone was calling for Coughlin's head? Well, they got it. But what happened in the offseason? Well, it's not just Coughlin's job. I mean, Coughlin got fired, but now Jerry Reese is on the hot seat, the GM. And what did he do? He spent $200 million. $200 million this offseason, which is telling us what the Giants intend to do. This is win now mode. And the D got all kinds of upgrades. Look at this picture. Olivier Vernon, the best pass rusher on the market. They got Damon Harrison, monster of a defensive tackle. Janoris Jenkins, who I've got my issue with at quarterback, but he's certainly an upgrade over what they had at cornerback. 3 big additions and a whole lot of money to ink those 3 guys. And, of course, they got Jason Pierre-Paul back from injury. He wasn't particularly effective last year. You've got some talent ready on hand. They got DRC, Dominique Rodgers-Camarte. You got Landon Collins. The rookie number 1 pick, Eli Apple. This might not be a great defense this year. But, look, let's be real. Steve Spagnuolo was coaching with one hand tied behind his back last year. Maybe both. Nothing but vanilla schemes all year long because, A, it was his first year as DC, and B, they had cluster injuries before training camp even started, which made it much more difficult to learn that new hyper-aggressive defense. It didn't take last year. Expect this defense to improve, maybe by leaps and bounds this year. It might not be elite, but it certainly, on paper, looks like a league average defense or better.
Is JPP always going to have to wear that club now with the fireworks? Huh?
Yeah, he might. It wouldn't shock me if he does. The guy blew off his hand.
I know. Guys out there like Cowboy Bob Orton. He's got the stupid club on walking around. I know, guys.
It's got to help. I wouldn't mind playing. If I'm playing being an edge rusher, I'd love to have a big club to just whack the lineman with and see if I can get in. I don't think it hurts him. Yeah. But the lesson here, kids, don't play with fireworks.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Eli coming off a career high in touchdowns, career best 35 to 14 touchdown in his INT ratio. Last 2 years running McAdoo's offense, he's had the 2 most completions and 2 of his top 3 completion percentages. 35 years old but durable. Hasn't missed a game since his rookie season. 11 straight years playing all 16 games. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, nobody does that. Nobody does that. Eli Manning's done it. When you've gone 11 straight years without missing a game, you're doing something right. And there's teams that I worry that say, "Oh, what's going on with the backup quarterback?" So far that hasn't been an issue with the Giants. But with Eli, who's run McAdoo's offense extremely well and is coming off back-to-back career years, yeah, he's 35, but we've seen in recent seasons, not the 35-year-old QBs that we worry about. It's the guys that are getting 37, 38, 39 that really start to decline. I think Eli's still got a good year or 2 or 3 left in him. But it's not just about Eli. The Giants have no elite go-to running back. They've got Odell Beckham Jr., who is, what do you say about him? He's a monster, obviously. But after Odell Beckham Jr., what else do they have? Victor Cruz is this guy. Everyone's like, oh, Victor Cruz. You know what Victor Cruz has done the last 2 years, Pauly?
He says he's finally healthy, but he hasn't done shit, I know.
Non-factor. No. 23 catches since the end of 2013. He's coming off multiple surgery. All right, he's healthy. I got to list him as a question mark, not a positive. They're counting on the undersized rookie, Sterling Shepard out of Oklahoma immediately, and rookie wide receivers, they're hit or miss. The offensive line, they only have 2 positions settled in the offensive line going into camp. The center, Weston Richburg, and the left guard, Justin Pugh. But when you look at the starting tackles, they might have the 2 worst starting tackles in the NFL. And the problem was not addressed in the offseason. So when I say, oh, Eli's not going to get hurt, well, I don't trust the offensive line. Maybe he does get hurt this year.
All right, we have here's one of the London games, Teddy, and it counts as a road game for the Giants. What do you think of the schedule?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a big advantage for the Giants playing the Rams in London. You say, how can that be a big advantage? Real simple. The Giants are traveling to London from New York. All right, either go to London, go to L.A., not that big a difference. The Rams are in L.A., they're flying to Detroit, and then they go, oh, by the way, let's go over to London next week. Long trip from L.A., and of course that's a road game that's now being played at a neutral site, so that is one edge for the G-Men. As a division, the NFC East plays the 4 teams from the NFC North and the 4 teams from the AFC North, which means not a lot of long trips for the G-Men this year. There are 2 extra games, the one aforementioned game against the Rams, and of course they play the Saints. When you look at the numbers in the aggregate, Pauly, they faced a slightly easier than NFL average last year, and based on this year's season wins, their schedule is projected to be slightly easier than the NFL average again here in 2016.
Early lean?
I'm not going to play the Giants over or under. If I had to bet it, free bet, I probably play them over just because, A, I like the quarterback, and B, I think the defense is going to be a good notch or 2 better than it was a year ago. But do I love this team? No. The Giants could be a playoff team. Wouldn't shock me if they were a playoff team, but it's not one that I'm super excited about getting to the betting window.
All right, so we had that 10-1 run about a month ago, gone colder the last couple of weeks. Let's get back on track. Money time, right back with the Astros. What are we doing, Teddy?
Absolutely. And again, we lost a tough one last night. 2-1 final score. Houston just couldn't get a key hit in that ball game. It happens. You don't panic. You don't say, I hate this team. You say, hey, the Astros look like a good bet again today. And, of course, making life so much easier for all of the Astros pitchers. Jose Altuve. He's been as good as anyone in the sport since the All-Star break. Look at the numbers. He's 21 of 40 when he's hitting better than 500 since the All-Star break. 3 homers, 9 ribbies, 8 runs scored. If I had to vote today, Pauly, Altuve would be my AL MVP. Of course, I don't have a vote yet.
That's too bad. All right, big show tomorrow. Eagles will rip the quarterback position, the coaching staff, management, and ownership. That'll be good. And we preview the PGA, the final major, with Brady Cannon, SBR contributor, and he went 7-1 with his golf matchups with the British Open and also Ed Stenson. That's coming up Wednesday on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.